Prime Minister Modi in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, and the women cadre of the Bharatiya Janata Party rolling out the red carpet. A big welcome for Prime Minister Modi's visit to the city. He will be addressing a gathering of women, especially on women reservation, which was cleared by Parliament last week. And what you see on your television screen is the Prime Minister flanked by the Gujarat Chief Minister, Bhupendra Patel, waving to the crowds there. 10,000 women is what we have been given to understand. 10,000 women of the Bharatiya Janata cadre with roses have gathered outside the airport in Ahmedabad to welcome the Prime Minister and give him flowers, basically for the BJP cadre. They're thanking him for rolling out what is historic where Parliament is concerned, the Women Reservation Bill, which was cleared unanimously by both houses, the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha just last week, which once again makes us ask the big question where the BJP is concerned, that will the women quota card be a poll plank for the Bharatiya Janata Party? And in all probability, the answer seems to be a yes. What you're seeing once again on your television screen is the Prime Minister there waving to the surging crowds, holding flags of the Bharatiya Janata Party. That is the BJP Mahila wing, the Mahila cadre, coming out in droves, what we are given to understand, about 10,000 of them. Let's cut across to my colleague Brijesh, who's joining us with the latest coming in from Ahmedabad. Brijesh, 10,000 cadre of the Bharatiya Janata Party, mostly women, gathered outside the Ahmedabad airport, welcoming the Prime Minister, thanking him for rolling out the Women Reservation Bill.
Yeah, it has been a huge crowd for the women wing of the BJP state women wing cadre. More than 20,000 Mahila workers present at the ground nearby. And they are just PM right now, roaming around between the ground among all the women workers, and they are thanking PM for the 33% reservation for the women in Parliament. And
Okay.
Political event for the BJP right now. Tomorrow as well, PM will be welcomed by the Vadodara city.
All right, okay, Brijesh, we're going to come right back to you. Stay on with us. But 10,000 BJP women cadre strong, welcoming the Prime Minister. Let's listen into the atmospherics, and we're going to be joined by a political panel with the question: will the Mahila quota be a poll plank for the BJP in the upcoming elections and the elections in 2024?
Nari Shakti ne vandan, Modi ji ne abhinandan. Nari Shakti ne vandan, Modi ji ne abhinandan. Nari Shakti ne vandan, Modi ji ne abhinandan. Jai Jai Shri Ram, 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 Jai Jai Shri Ram.
Still with us, interesting. Okay, you know, viewers, it's very interesting because if you look at, let's once again dip into the surround sound, because it talks of the Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam bill. That was what the bill was called, and it was cleared unanimously by both houses. But it also has Jai Shri Ram after every line in this, you know, in the song that is welcoming the Prime Minister. Chants of Jai Shri Ram also echoing there. One does wonder what's you know, the need of putting Jai Shri Ram where you're talking about women emancipation or you're talking about Nari Shakti in its true form. And what really did happen was historic. 33% reservation. The timeline might be long. At least what we're looking at is not before 2029. But having said that, historic, that for the first time, what was introduced in 1996 was passed by the Lok Sabha. It's been a hard-fought battle, and you know, at least it's the beginning. Maybe not the watershed moment now, but at least it's a beginning that we are looking at finally women being given their due and equal place on the decision-making table. But again, interesting, you know, in that context, or the need of having Jai Shri Ram, you know, constantly playing in the official song, where the BJP cadre playing to welcome the Prime Minister, when the entire ceremony is focused on the Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam bill, or women power, women reservation, and it's happened under the watch of the Prime Minister, and giving him due credit for the same. But these visuals coming in, we'll cut across to our political panel also very soon. We have with us in just about 2 minutes BJP as well as our Congress spokesperson. Amiben Yagnik, Rajya Sabha MP from the Congress, is with us. Charu Pragya, national spokesperson, Bharatiya Janata Party, is also with us. Amiben Yagnik, these visuals coming in from your state, Ahmedabad city, the Prime Minister on a chariot of sorts, and understandably being welcomed by thousands of BJP women cadre, expressing gratitude, a thank you for rolling out the women reservation bill. But how do you see it now being translated as a possible calling card for votes, Amiben Yagnik? You have a 5-state election and then the general election.
First of all, the bill had 2 caveats and 2 conditions, and they are remaining there in the amendment. And that is that you should have a caste census and there should be a delimitation before you bring this 1/3 reservation in the Lok Sabha and the Assembly. Now, well, there can be celebrations of all kinds in a party and without the party or anywhere. But the concern, real concern for women, reservation, I think there should have been some 2 or 3 women on the chariot also, along with the Honorable Prime Minister and the 2 other officials or the persons of the Bharatiya Janata Party from Gujarat. That would have done it. They could also have announced that we have a state Women Rights Commission which has no chairperson, Mahila chairperson. We are unable to give any data on crimes against women in Ahmedabad city alone. And the primary infrastructure for primary schools is without teachers. And the infrastructure, physical infrastructure is so poor, yet we have come out with a reservation bill and we support it, but there will be a caveat, so the timeline is not known, but we can celebrate. That is the message that is going across. And this is, I think, a very common visual. Sometimes it happens in Delhi BJP office, sometimes it happens in Gujarat, more often in Gujarat for a while. But the fact remains that the ground reality as far as women reservation is there, the timeline is too long and too uncertain.
All right, the timeline is too long, too uncertain. But Amiben Yagnik, you know, one thing can be said very clearly. The sheer fact that it was passed, and it was passed under the Prime Minister's watch. It might have started in 96 under Gowda. You know, you might have initiated reservation under the Prime Minister then, Rajiv Gandhi, but it happened on the Prime Minister's watch, and it is historic. When could we even imagine it would be cleared by the numbers that it would have been, that it was in Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha?
That's true that the Honorable Prime Minister is here when the historic bill is passed and every party has voted for it. And that is definitely a victory for India. But let me tell you, 1989 was the time when Rajiv Gandhi ji came with this vision, because when he saw the plight of women at the grassroots level, and he started wondering whether these women will ever get into the political arena and whether they will be able to take part in a democracy where their participation is a must in decision making, and ultimately it would be gender justice and gender parity. That vision has translated today. It translated immediately in 92 by the 73rd and the 74th Amendment, because at that time it was very easy and it happened. And we have the Panchayati Raj system in place, the 3rd tier of the governance. And you have seen that the Minister of Panchayati Raj in the Parliament itself said that there have been 40% sarpanches are women today. And that shows the success of how this kind of reservation brings women into the center stage of decision-making processes. That was vision of Rajiv Gandhi ji. But we should not forget that time and again, Sonia ji reminded, Honorable President of the Congress Parliamentary Party wrote letters and demanded that it's high time that we should have the reservation for women in the Lok Sabha and the Assembly. But it was falling, practically not being heard, despite a majority government for 9 years. I mean, it is too late for such a government to come out with a bill of this kind. And all the parties have cooperated like nobody's business. Everyone was there to say that, yes, we are for women reservation. And that is why the victory is for all the women of this country.
All right, let's cut across to Charu Pragya also, who's joining us. Charu Pragya, understandably, it is a moment to celebrate, but this is also a moment, one would say, which belongs to the rest of the country as well, cutting across party lines. One would say it's astute politics to internalize it and use it for party purpose, to campaign, to take it further when it comes down to electioneering. But ultimately, shouldn't this moment have been left to the country, cutting across party lines, and not maybe milk it for a political moment?
Preeti, good evening. And no, I completely do not agree with you, because empowering women has not been simply an election gimmick for my party. And I say this with good reason. Let's remember that the last time this bill was tabled, we supported it without any fuss. Not like how this support is coming this time around, where on one side they say there is support, but a lot of ifs and buts have been introduced. That's the first thing. The second thing is, in our term, we have tabled it 4 times. And if getting consensus on this bill was so easy, please explain to me why none of the governments of the past were able to get this bill passed. We have, since the first day of Modi Sarkar, worked on ground to empower women. Since the first day, from Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao days to talking about registering the homes of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana in the names of women, worrying about their health, giving them Ujjwala Yojana, worrying about how the rest of their family will cope if somebody falls sick, Ayushman Yojana, taking care of their nutrition. I can go on and on, but let's not stay there. Let's come to what points were being raised by the member of opposition just now. She says caveats have been attached. I want to address these caveats. The first thing is, they say, why not now? Well, please tell me. I live in the city of Delhi. There are 7 parliamentary seats in my Delhi. Who's going to decide which of these 7 seats should be reserved for women? Do you think the government can decide this? Or do you think there should be a judicial process to it? Do you think these are randomly picked? Or do you think that there has to
answer
be a
one
survey?
question. Charu Pragya,
Yeah.
answer one question. How was
Sure.
Panchayati Raj seats reserved? How do we continue to give reservation for SC/ST, ma'am?
So SC/ST seats are going to be given now.
We give
also,
reservation
right,
to SC/ST. Panchayat Raj reservation for women happened on the basis of the 2011 census. So if that can happen, this can happen. Let's not get into, any red herring of sorts that this can't happen before a census. Yes, it can, ma'am. Go
No,
ahead.
Preeti, I think oversimplifying it is
Ma'am,
not
how
the
did
way
reservation for
forward, because
Panchayati Raj happen? I want to ask you. On a Panchayat Gram Sabha level, how did reservation happen?
on the panchayat level, the reservation has been continuing. I understand that. But now we are talking about all the assemblies. Now we are talking about the parliamentary seats.
Premise will remain same, ma'am. If states can give reservation at a panchayati level, then what? It can happen.
Even if the premise remains same, tell me who's going to pick the seats, Preeti. I'm very specifically asking you who's going to pick the seats. And now you bring in this whole new game of the caste census. Now in 2010, that did not exist. Sonia ji can say that aapko jisko ticket dena hai, ab dijiye. There is no bar. I can also say this, that there is no bar. You give a ticket to OBCs. We have given tickets and made sure 37% of our MPs belong to the OBC community. Our Honorable Prime Minister is one. So there is no bar to this. Now, also, you want to divide our country on the basis of caste and religion. Has that been written anywhere in our constitution? And if this is a battle you want to fight, why do you want to fight it only for women? What happens till from the day of independence till now? Why did you never ask for this kind of a reservation on the general seats, SC seats, ST seats? You've never asked for an OBC reservation for elections up till now. Now, when we are talking of giving results to this battle women have been fighting for nearly 3 decades, you bring in one more equation. What are you trying to do? If you are unequivocally supporting this bill, you should have just said, let's get this passed. Let's support it. Okay. And now you want to take credit? Definitely. I will say that every single MP who has voted for this bill has been given due credit. But, ma'am, if it was so easy, then why did you not even table it in Lok Sabha in 2010? Why did you not even dare to table it? Table to karte, pata to chalta kaun saath de raha hai, kaun saath nahi de raha. You would have come to know. You cannot even table a bill. We have the courage to not just table it, but table it at a time where we are certain we are going to get it passed. And you're asking questions of this government.
Amiben Yagnik, when it comes down to number one of using it as a political moment, why not? It is politics. It's happened under the watch of the Prime Minister. Why not? Shouldn't the BJP milk it politically if it can? You've done it on your own accord, where you keep talking about the RTI, you keep talking about the other achievements of, the UPA government.
No. See this. If you want to put it as an achievement in Honorable Prime Minister's kitty, I think nobody should have any issue. But you should not forget that we have to understand what is India and talk about the weaker sections. We have to look at the journey of how the bill has translated into action and how many women have been empowered at the grassroots level and how are they taking decisions, and this kind of flinging all kinds of excuses that why did you not do it in the Lok Sabha, why did you do it at that time? At that time you should have seen in 2010 in the Rajya Sabha, and who were the leaders when it got passed, who were celebrating all of them across party lines. Today is not a time to talk about parties and one person did it or two persons did it. Every woman has to be there in this celebration, that she's going to get a chance, and that way she'll be able to sit with other people or other men as a real voice and take decisions in the committees or wherever she's sitting, and she will be politically empowered. You should not forget that. There has been social welfare schemes the current dispensation is talking about. But these social welfare schemes have done a lot for women. But that is not political empowerment. That is social empowerment. We are talking of political empowerment, and you have to give it to them, not with caveats. So we will do the caste census after so many years, and we will then have a delimitation. What has that to do? You give it right away. Then we can see what is the objective.
I'll come back to it. How do you do it earlier and not follow a set protocol? One might say it's simple, but it's been happening at the panchayat level. It's been happening at the municipal bodies level. In technicality, Charu Pragya, all it will take is to update the voters list. And that could be your benchmark on which you give reservation, Charu Pragya.
So, Preeti, now SC/ST reservation did not start just now. It started long back, and even that is given on the basis of the
let's
census.
Talk about let's talk about the panchayat and the municipal bodies reservation. That has happened recently.
But even that is rotational, Preeti. Are you trying to tell me that arbitrary decisions can be taken? Will Mr. Gandhi
that happened on the basis.
Be happy if his
Charu Pragya, ma'am, that happened on the basis of on the voters list. That's all you need. Update the voters list. You'll have an idea.
So it is amusing to me, Preeti, that you imagine that you know better methods of working through this.
Madam, I don't. I'm just giving you the premise on which panchayat and municipal bodies have sought reservation, and it seems, at least technically, that it can happen. That's all I'm saying.
And technically, I'm asking you again, who's going to take the decision? Is that decision going to be taken by you and me, or that decision is going to be taken by the government or by the Delimitation Commission? Exactly. So there is a process to it. Now you are coming back to what I was saying. So whether it is the Delimitation Commission,
I'm not saying. I'm saying the Election Commission. The Election Commission can take that decision without resorting to a census and a delimitation. You can do it on the basis of the voters list. Update it.
Voters list is getting updated, Preeti. But I think, really you are getting to a point where you're refusing to understand when we don't know how many women there are. And when we are planning on doing this on the basis of picking the seats in a constitutional manner, I don't know where the discrepancy is. I really don't. And for everyone from the other parties who are repeatedly saying the caste census will happen, tell me when in this country a caste census has happened. The crux of our government has always been Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Tell me for what yojana you've ever had to tell your caste, or anybody in this country has had to go and tell their caste or their religion. So if it has never happened, you want to bring in divisiveness into politics. Now that is
okay. One second, but Charu Pragya, as I bring in Amiben Yagnik, the sheer fact is, on the basis of the 2011 census, every scheme in this country is built on the basis of caste. So if you want to go and be a beneficiary of that scheme, madam, one second. Believe me, we might want to live in a utopian world where we say caste doesn't matter, but each and every person would have to go and prove he's Dalit if he wants to partake of that scheme. So yes, caste matters. It doesn't matter to the people who stand on the favorable divide of that caste line. But having said that, Amiben Yagnik, I'm going to pull you in. One point that Charu Pragya has made, and it's very clear, How is it that the Congress, if you're talking about the caste census and to bring in the women reservation card in that, the Congress till 10 years ago was against the caste census. Today, you see political opportunity and you flipped.
No. I think there is no political opportunity in this. I think if the other...
Ms. Yagnik, do you agree?
No.
Do you agree you are against the caste census?
No, 1 minute. There is a 2011 census which is not being published. Why is not the 2011 census getting published? If you publish that, and if the Congress has been asking for inclusiveness of caste census, what is wrong in that, and why have you to pick on Congress? Today we are talking of women reservation. If you do not want the women of the weaker section to come to the fore, then what is the purpose of having women reservation? Why don't you want to empower women? It's another thing that the Honorable Prime Minister is keeping quiet on Manipur violence. Women facing violence in Manipur, not a word. Not a single women minister sitting in the central union government has spoken.
But Amiben Yagnik, that question will be asked. The Congress has changed its stand where the caste census comes into question in the last 10 years alone. But having said that, Charu Pragya, you wanted to make a point, come in and then we'll cut across back to Ms. Yagnik.
Yes, thank you. Which policy of my government is based on caste? You made a blanket statement, Preeti, and I need you to back it up.
Madam, every policy that has been made in terms of reservation. Ma'am, okay, 1 second. In terms of reservation in this country, if we have gone for reservation, it happens on the basis of caste, ma'am. On what basis does it happen off?
And when did a caste census ever happen in this country, Preeti? Has it ever happened?
2011, you had a census, right?
Caste census is same as a census to you, Preeti?
Where do you think we've derived the information from?
So are you...
On what basis have we given reservation? But it's not an argument between you and I. Would you want to quickly answer? I'll go back to Ms. Yagnik then.
Yes. What's your question? What would you like me to answer?
Madam, I thought you wanted to interject, Ms. Yagnik.
Yeah,
do you want to?
Yes, I do. And
Please
I'll begin by telling you that my government's position to the Supreme Court in 2023 has been very clear. We have stated to the Supreme Court that we are a government which is going to work for the welfare of the nation as a whole and not divided into caste and other segments based on religion. Now to respond to the Congress spokesperson, she's saying that Prime Minister Modi is not concerned about women, but madam, apparently your party is very concerned. You talk about giving 40% seats to women in the state of Uttar Pradesh, and you have a beautiful slogan which says "Ladki hu, lad sakti hu." I love that slogan, but that slogan is not activated in the state of Punjab or in Goa or in Himachal or in Karnataka. So much so that even after you win the elections in Karnataka and in Himachal Pradesh, and when you make your Mantri Mandal ka list, you can make just one woman a minister in the state of Karnataka. So what is your position, ma'am, on women empowerment? And frankly, it is very hollow.
Amiben Yagnik, I want to bring you in because that's a relative point that Charu Pragya raises. You gave reservation in a state where you had no stake. In a state like Karnataka, where you were stakeholders and you had a shot of winning, how much did you give in terms of representation to women? Hypocrisy, Ms. Yagnik?
No, it's not hypocrisy, and this is not a tutu meme debate, and I don't have to answer to the spokesperson of the other party. Let me make myself very clear. At least you try to give 40% seats in any state. Do it in Gujarat. No, do it in Gujarat. Instead of saying that you gave it, at least we gave it in UP. The AICC General Secretary. No, I think you should stop interfering, otherwise I may leave.
All right, ma'am, you got... Okay. Charu Pragya, let's not interrupt. You got fair time, no? Allow the same to your panelist. Go ahead, Ms. Yagnik, make your point.
All India Congress Committee's General Secretary Priyanka ji gave 40% seats to women. Ladki hu, lad sakti hu. At least do that. First of all, at least do that in one of the states. Do it in Gujarat, because this is the place where you come running all the time. And let Gujarat set an example. But you did not. And at least those 40% women who got tickets learned that there is a space in political area, in public life, that we can go and contribute. They came to know about it.
But Ms. Yagnik, that those 40% women, why should only those women in UP be the ones who are invoked with the feeling of equal partnership? Didn't the women in Karnataka deserve the same?